next up, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome CEO of the Milner Agency in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and Treasurer of the NAILBA Board of Directors, Mr. Chad Milner.
So when they asked me to introduce the panel coming up next, they gave me a script and a teleprompter, and I said, I didn't build my agency, grow our agency. I didn't build it, Dad. I know Granddad did. I didn't grow our agency by going on a script, and these guys did not grow their agency by staying within the lines of a script. You know, NAILBA right now is in a challenging time. We've got challenging days ahead, but we have leadership that has a vision. And we've got people that are going well beyond the norms in our industry. So this panel is very special. We put together 3 companies who have gone above and beyond anything we could have imagined 37 years ago. It's unbelievable the numbers they're doing. These guys are truly talented. So first, I called Sharon Singh from SelectQuote, and I said, Sharon, it would be awesome if we could get you on stage. You've never done stage. He said, Chad, I'm going to be in Hawaii. I'm kind of retired. He said, besides, you don't want an old Indian with a turban and a heavy accent up there. I said, okay, well, maybe you've got some talent you can send me. He said, I built my company with young, sharp people. So if you would, this guy has got a heavy accent as well. If you would, please welcome Stuart Murdin to the stage. Thanks, Stuart. Our next panel member has grown an unbelievable agency. He's been a member of NAILBA his family's been a member of NAILBA since the beginning. He's a second generation owner of his agency, 100+ million in sales. If you would, please welcome Tim Ash. Our last panelist is not a traditional BGA in any sense. He's written probably close to $1 billion in premium over time with mortgage term, final expense. His agency brings in over 100 new agents to our industry every week. That's probably more than the rest of us combined. He's figured out something that most of us has not. He's produced over 1 million leads to generate sales. If you would, please welcome to the stage my friend Andy Albright. And last but not least, our moderator, who really needs no introduction, but he's been the president of 3 different insurance companies. He's attended all of the NAILBAs except for the very first one. If you would, please welcome Butch Britton.
Somehow this feels really strange. When Chad called me and said, hey, we're going to do a panel and we want you to be the moderator, I said to myself, why do you want me? Give somebody that needs some relevance again in life. Plus, it makes me very nervous. I haven't done this in a very long time. In fact, I had to watch YouTube to tie my tie this morning. Anyway, he comes back with a line. I'm not sure I'm flattered by it or not flattered by it. He said, well, we're looking for somebody old enough who can remember all how these distribution channels developed and how they moved and how they progressed over time. And certainly this is a great organization, and it did wonders for me in life. But this morning I was thinking about when I came upstairs, how do you start this presentation? And I walked and I saw a sign, and that sign just stuck in my mind all morning long. What does it say? NAILBA, the voice of what? Independent, brokerage, distribution. What we know as traditional brokerage distribution, I don't think sitting over there. I think you might argue there's only 1 out of 3 that represent it. But what I'm so proud of you for is starting to think about how you reinvent yourself, because these guys have been hugely successful for one reason. They've all in their own ways found ways to continually reinvent themselves, and it's been absolutely fun to watch. No Butch Britton presentation would be appropriate. Just a small bit of humor, because I love humor. I think every morning when you wake up, you should tell yourself an internal joke so you can find something to be happy, laugh about, and be happy with. And I learned not to pick on other professions. So I had this joke about salespeople. I said, nah, I better not tell that. I said, well, you're an actuary by training. You can tell actuary jokes. So I got one short actuary joke, because we got a panel of experts today, right? And these are true experts. I have one expert story. This young actuary became sort of a genius in this new theory around life expectancies. And he became the prominent speaker, expert speaker at every single industry meeting. And he got so cocky. He just knew he had it nailed. But he was also kind of a fearful guy. He hardly would ever get on an airplane, so he had a chauffeur drive him almost every place he went to speak. And the chauffeur would sit in the back of the room and listen to everything the expert would say. And finally, he's in the car one day, and he's gotten all cocky about what's going on. And the chauffeur says, you know, you're not really that good. He says, what do you mean I'm not that good? He says, I could do your presentation. The guy says, well, come on, why don't you just do it? Next place doesn't know me, they don't know you. I'll drive you, you do it. So sure enough, they go to the next location, and the chauffeur gets up. The chauffeur kills it. I mean, knocks it out of the ballpark. Get down to the Q&A part. Very bright, young, new actuarial student in the front row. Ask him a question about the mean reversion to the last line of the death curve of something. And the poor chauffeur glazed over and looks at the guy for a second. Then it hits him. Young man, that's got to be the dumbest, most stupid, ignorant question for a young man of your smarts and your caliber. I can't believe how dumb this is. I want to show you how dumb that is. I'm going to ask my chauffeur to answer that question. Anyway, let's get started. I think a great way to start this is to let each one of these guys give you just about 5 minutes, maybe 4 or 5 minutes, just a short update on who they are, what their agencies are like, so you have a real flavor for the diversity that exists in this panel and how life insurance products are distributed. They can tell you a little bit how the distribution model works, who their customers are, and I think that'll be as equally important to all of you as some of the questions that we've got. So why don't we start with Andy? We'll start with you. I'm going to go sit down with him.
Me?
Yeah, you're never without words.
I didn't know I'd have to start. Is this what I'm answering?
No, you're going to tell them who you are and what your agency does.
My name is Andy Albright, and I'm from Burlington, North Carolina. I'm a proud NC State Wolfpack engineer, and we manufacture hot prospects to the tune of about 6,000 ridiculous leads per week, and we recruit about 250 agents that we get through licensing class every week, and we encourage them to purchase these leads and go service the American public and make a difference in their life, among other things.
Great. And I've watched Andy's organization from almost its inception, and it's an incredible organization. And if you want to talk about a person that's reinventing himself many times over and over, it'll be this guy, from adding new products to how he does everything. And some of the stories, visiting one of his meetings, you'll be overly impressed at how loyal and how much he's committed to changing people's lives.
What we like to say is, we have fun, make money, and make a difference.
That's it. Okay, Tim?
Well, hello everyone. Thanks for having me on the panel. Tim Ash from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Pretty traditional NAILBA agency, if you will, relative to what we do. I've been doing this for a long time, since '85. Many of you know my father started the business. We're pretty traditional. Life, annuity, long-term care, linked benefit, disability. And just proud to be here, humbled to be here actually. And our business is about, as you said, Andy, it's about serving. We want to serve people. We're proud of the industry that we're in, and we are making tremendous investments in our company to make a difference in our community, in our producers' lives, and most importantly, in the people that we employ.
You know, I've had a chance to watch Ash Brokerage over all the years, participated in a number of their meetings, and you know, for him to say, which is kind of a traditional brokerage agency, I think they're a great example, though, of an organization that kind of recreated the mold, broke it once in a while, and reinvented themselves many times over. And you know the huge success of what they've done. So you took two great people and two great success stories. You get two of them so far. Stuart?
Hi, my name's Stuart Murdin. I'm the head of sales at SelectQuote, so unlike these guys, I don't run the whole business, just the sales folks. SelectQuote has 5 sales centers around the country. We started in San Francisco in 1985. That's where I'm located. I've been with SelectQuote since 2002. I started as an agent. Progressed from there, I guess, if you can call it a progression. We have 175 agents in the life division. We also have an auto and home division now, and a Medicare senior division. Our biggest office now is in Kansas City. That's our biggest hub. But we'll probably do 90 million rather of in-force premium this year.
Thank you. Again, Charon Singh is a personal friend of mine for many, many years. He and I talked many times about the numbers of times he visited the old First Colony in Lynchburg, Virginia, trying to get a contract. And we'd tell him, you know, you're not a brokerage GA. We're not going to do that with you. And finally, Ron Dolan and I had a long conversation with one of my great mentors. And I said, Ron, we got to do this. This man is not penetrating the same kind of market because of the way they marketed. And we gave him a contract. And his next challenge was to get into this organization. And I think over the years, he found a way to position himself so that NAILBA saw that there was value in adding another, maybe alternate form of distribution. And of course, it's all history there. And now that the organization started to expand more to intermediary type distribution. So why don't we start out? We had 3 or 4 pre-submitted questions. And sometimes on pre-submitted questions, you think a Harvard professor made them up. So let's test our guys with those. Maybe we'll start with you, Andy. How do you think insurance intermediaries will retain the dominant position we have today?
Intermediaries. So, first of all, I want to say I am honored to be in front of the extremely successful people. I can't believe, and my mother would never believe in on a panel with this successful of people. But I want to tell you, the last time anybody compensated my hotel room and paid me to speak was in Amway when I was hiring people like crazy. Isn't it crazy? Yeah. Then I got my insurance license and I started making crazy millions of dollars and nobody wanted to talk to me. So I donated $6,500,000 to North Carolina State University so they would let me come talk to the football team and the basketball team and the entrepreneurs in the Albright Entrepreneur Center at North Carolina State. So thank y'all for letting me come up here and do this again. I looked up intermediaries because I didn't know what it meant, and I was fired up because it means insurance agents. So now I tell my friends I'm an intermediary. And I'm an engineer, so I calculated my average agent makes $143.27 per hour. So when I'm talking to Uber drivers, I ask them what they make per hour. And they tell me. And I say, my average guy makes $145.27 per hour. He said, wow, that's interesting. What do they do? I said, they're intermediaries.
So Andy's model would be a little bit different when we talk about intermediaries. Because
so we recruit him.
You recruit them, right? If you look at his model, it's almost like a career line because people that come into his organizations are aligned to lead generations there. So when you think about him being an intermediary, he is. He's the person in between these agents and the companies, but he's clearly not the traditional intermediary that you are. Tim, how about you?
It's a lot of syllables in that word. So I'm glad, Andy, you got it. That was impressive. So this guy's an outward. I'm an inward. But inside, I've got the out. Number one, I don't think we're in a dominant position, so let's start there. And we need to rethink what, when I saw that question, dominance is a bit too strong for me. I think what we have to do as an industry, and I can speak and have seen this happen in our business, you have to evolve. And we have not seen enough evolution in how products are delivered, how consumers view them, and it's the same thing, the same day, the same way. You heard Lou Holtz talking, if you're not growing, you're dying, and you know, you have to invest. So you have to grow, you have to invest in your businesses. And I think we have to evolve our business model to be around education. I think we'll be a technology company, an education company, an awareness company, but you can go broke doing all those things. You have to be able to execute, you have to be able to sell too. And that's where I think if we're going to remain as an industry in the space, got to invest. And I see way too many, and this business has afforded me a great lifestyle. It's afforded many of you and all of you out there a great lifestyle. But if you're going to be relevant, you have to look beyond the lifestyle and plow money back into your business. You spend a lot of money doing what you're doing, a lot. So, but you don't get a return unless you invest.
Tim, Stuart would obviously be not exactly the same kind of intermediary. You know, his organization is different in a way too. You might want to talk about how you see your role as an intermediary.
Right, well, you know, we have agents in our sales centers, and as Tim said, I think investment is key, and for us that means investing in the agents. And I just spent a week in Kansas City interviewing people to join our organization as agents, and we then put them through three weeks of training off the phones, and then continuous training once on the phones. So to me, it's arguable whether we do have a dominant position. I think we're still the sort of big fish in the pond, but not, you know, the pond is a small part of the ocean. It comes down to investment in our agents, realizing how relevant the agent is, how life insurance is still something that is not bought, it's sold. And so for us at SelectQuote, that really means investing not only in the processes, you know, and all the efficiencies of getting life insurance on the books, but actually our agents in having that initial discussion, because there's a lot of competition out there. And it's not easy to sell life insurance over the phone. Much easier to hang up on somebody than kick somebody out of the home. So we do put a lot of emphasis on really having that agent engage with the client over the phone, and so that's where what my answer would be, is to continue to invest in the agents.
I think you'll see there's a kind of a common thread between, even these organizations are really different. They're all independent. Each one of them acts as the intermediary role between companies, and most of the time it's multiple companies, and they're bringing choice to their customers. And I had a chance to participate pretty heavily in articles written for NAILBA recently, and the questions in there were similar to that. And the answer to the question really was also, there's no other organization right now that brings more choice than this organization does. So I think if you continue to focus on your ability to bring choice, which these all do, you'll see that there's a huge relevancy there. It would be hard for career to come back totally, but career may have its way back in life again, semi like Andy's organization. Second question, consumer relevancy and consumer sentiment. Our industry is not viewed as favorably as it used to be, and our products are not as relevant to customers as they used to be. Why? How can we work together as an industry to galvanize our efforts to reverse this trend, to get back to being who we are supposed to be, the industry that protects the future of American families and businesses? Now, this question was, when I read this question the first time, I don't think I totally agreed with the question, but I'll throw it out to the group. I'll go to Tim with this one and let him give his thoughts on that.
So relevancy. There are so many people that were out telling the value of life insurance. You know, when I got into the business, that's what it was. You go out, we actually talked with people that woke up and said, I'm a life insurance advisor or agent. Today, I seriously can count on one hand, and we'll have about 9,000 advisors will do a piece of business with us this year. And I can count on one hand how many wake up every day and say, I just do life insurance. So all of those people are no longer in the business, right? And everything's financial advisory. Most of everything's financial advisory. Then you have carriers that are exiting the business for various reasons. But here's the real issue. The relevancy that's lost is that the industry does not talk about the social value and the social impact that it has on so many businesses and families. I've only had about 3 meetings since arriving here yesterday, and I asked the same question of the three carriers. How many families did you impact last year? What were the amount of claims that you paid to those families and businesses? And the only time that you reach out to the consumer and the public is when they have a late notice. So this industry, I think, if we're going to have relevancy, needs to educate on the power of and the impact. And I'm an insurance junkie. I love what I do every day, and I believe in. I own term, I own IUL, I own VUL, I own every darn product that we have because I believe in it. But the stories are not being told by the industry, the insurance companies, by us. It's as if all of the good stuff's left behind the curtain. And that's actually what needs to happen, I think, if we're going to have more people stand up. You know, you can and you're doing it. You're up. You're serving middle America. You're serving people that, you know what, they can't pay for a funeral. They can't, they can't stay in their home. They can't do all these things. And so you're doing what the industry used to do, which is bring people into it and give them a shot. And so there needs to be a mix and a balance of that. And you're going directly to consumers and talking to them about buying $500,000 of life insurance because it's going to keep them in their home and it's going to put the kids through college when life strikes. And most of us out here really serve, I like to say we just serve the top 1%. I'm almost done, so you get your shot. I did one thing, I do a Friday morning meeting. I've delivered 1,000 of them to all of our employees. I lined up 12 people on stage, and they were looking at me like, what are you doing? I had our person that answers our phone, person that did contracting, someone in IT, case manager, underwriter, salesperson that did the quote, policyholder service, commission department, finance area, and I told a story. There was a claim that was paid it was like $500,000, and it was to a 37 or 38-year-old widow. And I made sure that they connected. They got out of the transaction and got into the life. And that's when you transform. So I'll get off my soapbox. That's what has to happen if we're going to have relevance, I believe, and growth. And it's not about selling product. It's about telling stories and being relevant in people's lives. And man, I wake up every day. That's all I do.
You know, it's interesting. I'm sitting here watching, and I'm going to move around a little bit, and we'll move along quick as we can. You ever watch a horse at the Kentucky Derby when they put them in the stall and they're ready to run, how they're about to push the gate down? If I don't pick Andy next, he's going to break the gate down. So talk to us about your thoughts on our question. I know you got a lot of them because you're about helping people every day.
I want to point out that I'm up here with Ash Brokerage and SelectQuote. Again, one more time for my mama.
Right. I know she's proud of you.
I mean, I am. Relevancy. So we run commercials. You ever seen that Jerry Springer show? And there's no one kind of like that. Right after that, we'll run a commercial and say, look here, if you guys need to pay for your funeral or protect your home, you ought to call us up. Our phone rings off the hook. And then if we find somebody that turns 60, because see, when 60, that's when you know you're going to die. You know what I'm saying? When you mail it to them when they're 40, they ain't going to send you nothing back. When you mail them to they're 60, you say, look here, if you need $10,000 to bury yourself, you need to send this back in. Well, your knees done started hurting, your eyes done clogged up, your back's hurting. You know you're going to die, you just don't know which part's going to go next. So you send that letter in. We got thousands of them coming in. We've got 27,533 leads that we have, people wanting to buy what this insurance sells. We say, if a man will give you his height, weight, and birthday, that man wants to buy life insurance. Now, if he's got his wife's height, weight, and birthday on there, that man's serious about it. And so what the great insurance companies that I deal with offer is this $10,000, $15,000 life insurance. I have personally never showed up in a double-wide trailer and talked to that man about, look at here, for $67.32, I can get you $10,000 worth of life insurance. Never have I said one of them look at me and say, you need something more relevant to my situation. He usually says, who do I make the check out to, Mr. Albright? And so that's when I get that y'all are in a different world, but I can't get enough, and I love it. My agents love it, but here's what I deal with, and I don't know if y'all deal with this or not, but what my hardest thing to find as opposed to relevancy, that word, is kids and Americans that have the WANTTO up in them. the want to. Because I have never, ever seen an opportunity on this earth as I've traveled around like America. Freedom, the chance to build your own business, to hire people, to make money and give it away like crazy. Because I always taught my people, as fast as you give it away, baby, you got a void that you got to fill. So you give it to NC State, you give it to the Goads Ministry, you give it to India Bowl. You get rid of that money, baby, because it's like your closet. You get too many clothes, you just empty it out, baby. You'll start finding stuff left and right. Same thing with money. I tell them, get rid of that money, baby. We can make more in America. So I need the WANTTO. So what I spend most of my time doing is talking to young people and kids saying, bro, it's America. Get your butt out of bed. Rise and shine, honey. You can't make money in the shade or in the bed. We got to get out here in the heat of America. So we sell a lot of IULs. We sell some premium financing, but I'll say not a lot, maybe 15, 20 million, but we do the hundreds of millions of the smaller stuff, and I hope we can help somehow by educating these agents and moving them up to where they eventually deal in that. But I love what the insurance industry offers. And I need more people because I got so many people responding to these leads.
You can tell these guys are very excited about what they do. I'm going to give Stuart just a quick minute to talk about SelectQuote. Their value proposition is all about selecting the best price for the customer, and so.
I thought Lou Holtz was going to be tough to follow, but with following Andy, I don't know. Makes you forget the question that was even asked. I think it was to do with relevance, right? To me, I think we're still very relevant. I think term life insurance is the best way to, most affordable way to protect families against the unthinkable. So to me, SelectQuote does 90%, more than 90% of our business is term life. So my take on it is perhaps different to those of you that do a lot of permanent insurance. But term life, I think, is incredibly relevant. What puzzles me about SelectQuote is I joined in 2002, and at that time we used to do commercials about 500,000. We're now in 2018, and we're still doing commercials about 500,000. So, that's just the hook to get people talking to our agents, because at the end of the day, we spend over $40 million a year in advertising, but we don't sell through our advertising. We sell through our agents. So then the agents have to take that and really listen to and figure out their clients. And, so relevance, I think we're very relevant.
Good. So let's move along. We get so excited that we sometimes run out of time quickly. So why don't we're going to keep our answers pretty short. But the third question, because I have one at the end, I think I'd like to ask each one of these guys. I want to save time for that. Growing our industry, the rise of group life through the employer and the shrinking life agent population has hurt individual life policy sales. 50 years ago, we sold over 20 million individual policies. Now the industry only sells about 10 million policies in a population. It's almost doubled over the last 20 years. How do we get back to 20 million and above? Now, of course, some of these guys would argue that they're not the contributor to that decline. So maybe we'll throw this out to Stuart first and let him give us an idea.
So I think we used to benefit more feet on the street in the old days, and they used to do a great job of knocking on doors and educating people about the need for life insurance. With fewer feet on the street, that message has to be conveyed in a different method, and marketing message is not easy. The marketplace is saturated with all sorts of messaging out there. The social media, when it first got going, was considered trustworthy. Now a lot of people are skeptical about that. So I think it's really how creative we can be with our marketing to fill the gap that has been left by the agents that used to do a great job of speaking to families about the need for life insurance.
Tim, got something you can add there?
Just a couple of things. More people need to be in it, and Andy's bringing people in that are going to. He'll affect that number more than I believe we will because of our model. I guess I would say this. I think our industry is. And please take no offense to this, because when I speak, I look in the mirror first. What have we done as an industry? If you look back in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, yes, I've been in all of those decades doing this. But what did we do in those decades to really make a difference, to grow policy count? Did we really do anything? Or did all we do was take advantage of the people that were selling insurance to say, well, you can replace that and I can get you more of this. Well, and guess what? That didn't work, so I can replace that and buy you this one. Now it's guaranteed. Well, guess what? Now you can sell that one to someone if you don't need it anymore. And oh, by the way, you don't have to pay for it. It's free. So this industry, us, if we want to, this kind of ties back to all of the other questions, is we better be out there educating on why people should own insurance, like those people that were knocking on doors and out telling the story. That, to me, is where, if we're going to grow policy count, we have to get back to not having a replacement form and a 1035 exchange be the first part of our application.
That's good. Andy, you probably can answer this in just a few words. Why don't you tell people how many agents you're recruiting every year in this business, and that'll give you a good idea how he is contributing to getting back an agent field force.
250 a week, but I don't know, you have to multiply that times 52. And if we don't grow before the end of the year, somebody's going to get hurt. We're going to be upset. I've been to y'all's offices, and your culture is ridiculous. I love it. I admire what you do. It just blows my mind. And part of it, I guess, I didn't think I could build that culture. But the culture we built is growing. It's growing people that need to be growed. So what I would ask y'all to help the industry is send us your tired, send us your weak, send us your children, send us your depressed, send us your lost. Bring them to them. We're going to give them some direction. I just got a text from a mother. I thought it was from the kid, but this kid, he confided in me, and he's okay with you saying it. You can check it out on my Facebook, on my Facebook page. He's tried to kill himself 2 times in 20 years. And he has no direction, had no dad. And bro, I just love talking to him. And I got him a job as an Uber, where he can learn this insurance thing on the side, and he can learn to, how'd you say it, talk to the people and explain it to them. That's what I'm trying to get him to do, is you got to explain it to him like this, son. And he's about to jump out of his skin. I was with him about 5 minutes from here at BJ's restaurant last night, just lighting him up about 11:30 last night. And his single mom that he recruited, she's out selling him. She's out selling the boy. And she texted me. I showed Jeannie our, good God, how about that smash up, Pledge Allegiance, America, God bless. Oh, I'm about to jump out of my skin. So I was showing her that picture. I showed that text. I said, this is from the single mother. And she said, you've given a single mother a chance. They won't let me bring a phone up here because I always mess with it. And so I would read it to you. You've given me a chance in life. You've helped my son. You with me? So I'm just like, what an industry that you can take 2 people like that and give them a chance and build them up and grow them. So send them to us. We'll talk to them and we'll work it out and get them going. And you say, well, and other people say, well, that's the people not educated. Let me explain something to you. My top guys have master's degree in economics from the Air Force. I got one, we call him our rocket scientist because he went to Cornell and he got a degree in rocket propulsion. But you know what he was doing? I met him, $12 an hour as a telemarketer. His name's Patrick Connors. That son of a gun's Catholic. He got 11 children, brother. He needs the insurance industry. And Susie traveled the world with him. So we just send them over to Alliance. Say, you ought to go over to the Alliance.
I think the key takeaway is that we're going to get back to those numbers when we have organizations that are trying to find ways for young people like Andy's doing and others, and some of your organizations are doing, bringing new people back in our business and telling them what a wonderful occupation this is. Some great stories from Andy's organization that I could tell, but we're running so short on time. I want to spend just a few seconds on this next question, then I want to pose one last question before my last 7 or 8 minutes are left here. The SEC is now proposing a best interest regulation. What was the impact of a fiduciary's best interest standard from the SEC have on our products? Would it increase the opportunity for life insurance sales or decrease the opportunity? To me, this is an interesting question because if you guys know life insurance products really well. If you're a career agent, you got one product. The other important part is you really don't know the performance of a life insurance policy until when? Until either it matures, you die, or 20 or 30 years out. Could be a product doesn't look as good today, the company performs differently. So what do you guys think about that? Tim, I'll start with you on this one.
You know, I understand regulation and its necessity, but how many of you out there think you don't already do what's in the best interest of the client and the people that we serve? So I think we just have to be careful. I'm not I'm the least political person you'll probably ever meet, and to me, I'm all about transparency too. I love transparency. So I'm not afraid of any regulation or rule or anything along those lines. And so to us, we believe wholeheartedly that it's coming. We just don't know when. And is it gonna drive people away from the industry or sell fewer policies? Going to make it more difficult? I don't believe so. But I do think there will be some changes that are going to come down the pike. And I didn't do a very good job of answering that one because that was one on the. When I saw it in the questions, it was like, maybe you could pass it on to these guys. So,
Stuart?
I don't feel it's terribly relevant to what SelectQuote does. I mean, as I said before, over 90% of what we do is term. This probably pertains more to those of selling VUL. That said, I would imagine SEC regulation will give credibility if there is any lacking credibility. At SelectQuote, we actually deliberately keep commission rates from the carriers from our agents, so they are commission agnostic. They simply sell what is in the best interest of the clients. Their mission is to find the lowest price policy that somebody can actually qualify for. Having already established through needs conversations exactly how much the family needs, is identifying the breadwinners, the dependents, and the debts. And so I think we all act, as you said, Tim, I think we all act in the best interests of our clients and will continue to do so.
You know, it's interesting, and Andy, you can answer this question also, but if you look at where Andy's model is, for a lot of people that are buying insurance there, it's his offering or no offering. There's nobody calling on him.
That's right.
Reiterate on that?
Well, I can that. Like I said, I've never been in a trailer home where I said I need to be more relevant. They said, who do I make a check to? I just got to get the people to get them in the house. But I've studied this because I've got consultants. I got Bob Grannon out here, 30 years with Transamerican. I got Jim Henson, he's 44 years. Turned 75 yesterday, still shoots under that, shooting 70 in golf. I like these consultants. They always get me to worry about this stuff. I said, man, they're going to do this and they're going to do that. I said, everybody I'm recruiting, they came from car selling, where you sell them a $10,000 car and you make $5,000. They came from mortgage brokering, and so when I bring them over here, they said, wait a minute, there's 30 years of premium and we only get but one? I said, yeah, we don't hardly pay us nothing. So if we had to explain to the client, explain to the client our compensation, as they say, we would. I would just urge whoever's doing negotiating that they let us explain it to the clients as a percentage of the potential money that they pay in and a percentage of the potential pay off. And then I think our industry smokes, and your industry smokes the rest of them when you look at it on a relative basis. But I'm not going to be the one negotiating that.
He's absolutely right. I did a presentation some years ago on disclosure of agent compensation, and the analogy was that very analogy that no one gets paid for prospecting. They only get paid for a sale, so you got to somehow combine those things. You don't get paid on the death benefit. You get paid on the first year premium. If you sell a mortgage, you get paid on the mortgage. So I think there's lots of ways we as an industry can explain that.
That's right.
Okay, we got 3 minutes left. Each one of you get 1 minute. Any way you can tell people that's really good to grow their business? What's your suggestion? Stuart?
I would say take calculated risks, innovate. Don't do it the way it's always been done because it's the way it's always been done. SelectQuote wouldn't even exist if Charan Singh had that belief. Back in '85, he decided you could sell life insurance over the phone, and in a direct market model. And you know, some would argue that maybe for the first 20 years of SelectQuote, there wasn't much development beyond that idea, but now we have SelectQuote Auto and Home, SelectQuote Senior, and that has enabled us to broaden our customer base and then cross-pollinate within that customer base. So that's a progression that we've taken beyond the initial idea to enable us to grow. So I would encourage anybody out, every one of you, to innovate where you can, simplify where you can in terms of the carriers maybe in the audience, simple products. You know, one of my colleagues, I don't know whether this is a common American expression or not, but he said complexity is skunk juice to the consumer. Bottom line is you kill the sale with complexity. So the more we can simplify products and the more we can get in front of people and really just protect lives, that's what I would advise us to do. But again, think outside the box.
Simple formula, invest. We plow an enormous amount of money back into our people, and we bring in new people into our business all the time. And I would encourage you to look at your agencies and businesses and take the amount that you're pulling out of it or the amount that you're earning and allocate a certain percentage and be disciplined around putting that back in people. And that's what we've done. People, technology, all of that. And if you were to look at how many, you know, we've hired over 75 new folks in the last, just from organic growth, not through our partnerships and mergers and acquisitions, but 75 people because we want to be investing in them and preparing them. And you cannot be short-sighted. It's not going to happen in 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months. It's going to happen. If you're not willing to give and commit to it for 3 years, don't do it. Just don't do it. I could have spent the whole time talking about investing in your businesses. I'd have loved to have done that, but turn it over to you.
The time is short. So Andy, give us your quick comment on how you think people should look at growing their business.
Well, first thing is thank you again for letting me be up here. I hope I didn't offend anybody. I hope I helped encourage you a little bit. I'm up here with the legend, Butch Britton. I got 2 things for you, for real, like no joke. It's the same great marriage advice I got one time. I've been married 31 years. He said, start writing down every single thing you like about her. Good God, she can smile. That voice will make you cry on the phone or in person. She smells good. She's soft. She's pretty. She thinks I'm okay sometimes. If you don't love what you're doing, you need to find a way. You start listing it, and every day you write down 2 or 3 good things about it. You start falling in love with it. Because if you don't, you're going to fall out of love. And Lou just told me backstage, he said it's cheaper to keep her. Didn't he? So the last thing is Brian Tracy told me one day, he looked in my eyes, he said, son, if you have a goal and you want to get what you want faster than you ever expected possible. By the way, he wrote another book with the exact same title of that. He looked me in the eye and he said, get up in the morning and start working on what you want and do that till you go to bed. And the next morning you get up and you do that again. I said, all right, I want to make you happy, Brian Tracy.
Love the enthusiasm. I think we're pretty much out of time. I want to say thank you again to the panel. I think this is a very interesting group of people, all hugely successful. And one thing you can see in common, there's not a lack of enthusiasm or optimism from any of them. So thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Butch.